You, and I am the captain of the ship, you know.
Heavy rum.
Yes, heavy. I am the captain of the ship. Boat needs a captain, and I, little lady, are it. The captain. What now? I'm already nice and fresh. Like your god, what? Will Smith. I believe he saved this universe from what you call them aliens back in the 90s.
In Bel Air.
Bel Air. That sounds like a magical place. Just get on with that script.
You're the one holding it.
So I am. You hold it there. Pirates don't learn scripts. It's for book. It's for readings.
Right, so just to clarify, you want me to row?
Yeah. We skipped that bit on 163. Page 163.
And how am I supposed to row on grass?
Oh, yes. Better be careful, you might fall in. And then who's going to row me about?
Why, Eric can, of course.
He can't do anything. He's got tiny hands.
More than yours.
Don't bring up the tiny hands. She always brings up the tiny hands. Okay, those are like big, strong hands, don't they? You know? Yes. Small hands, small wrists. What do they say? These future men are weird.
Small wooden leg.
My legs are real. Not like your Johnny Depp with his fake legs. Or the gentleman at the back with his metal leg.
So, you want me to row, yes?
Yes.
Nothing's happening.
Maybe you're not rowing hard enough.
You row then.
I'm ready to row. Hold the sprint.
With those tiny hands.
Work, amateurs.
Yeah, I'd just like to read a chapter from the book, all about the lives of Alice or Arthur and Eric. Just one of my favourite bits. I did base some of it on adventures I had travelling up north in Scotland. So some of it is based on real life and adventures I've had myself. Okay, so just to start, are you all sitting comfortably? Then it'll be good. The dirt track met a tiny single-track tarmac road.
For shame! God is speaking!
Left, Arthur said. 200 yards later... What should I say? Yeah.
For handsome.
Yeah. 200 yards later, there was another junction. Next left again, said Arthur. Well, we found our way from there, but I'm not sure we'll ever find our way back again if he does find us, Alice said. Nonsense, said Arthur. Pirates never get lost. They always know exactly where they are at all times. They have built-in nautical navigation. Yes, it's all very well that you know exactly where you are, and he knows exactly where he is, but we may not find him. Well, he will have to find us then, Arthur replied. If he knows where he is, then he will have no problem knowing our whereabouts, will he? Alice was really beginning to tire now. Eric patted her shoulder reassuringly. Can we just stop and wait for him somewhere then, please? Alice asked. That's exactly what we're doing, Alice. Once we reach the pub, we will wait for him there. Wait a minute, you've gone quiet, Alice. Arthur turned to look at her. Alice stared straight ahead, not responding lest she be drawn into another ridiculous, magical discussion that was actually just, head for the pub, the pirate will be there if he's not at his house. Did we just have our first argument? Arthur asked. What do you mean our first argument? We argue all the time. Our first argument as a couple, he said. Alice refused to look at him. She took a deep breath. We are not a couple, she sighed. Well, that's exactly how couples argue, Arthur muttered. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 equals a complete stranger and 10 equals a couple, where would you rate that argument? He asked. We were not arguing, Alice shouted. Yes, we were. No, we weren't. Yes, we were. No, we weren't. Oh, look, here's the pub. Alice was ready to strangle Arthur. Luckily, he had already stepped into the safety of the doorway where there would be witnesses. He knew Alice was ready to cause him physical harm and was avoiding being in close proximity to her. Ladies first, he smiled sweetly. The young woman behind the bar gave the happy couple strange glances as they entered the room. Are you in fancy dress? She asked in a thick accent. No, just 2 pints, please, Arthur asked. The barmaid looked blankly at him, then shrugged her shoulders. Something about her was familiar to Alice, though they had never met before. The girl had short, glossy, raven black hair and a bright pink stripe running through it. It was amazing how quickly Arthur could annoy other people. Alice smiled apologetically at her as the woman presented the 2 pints. Alice paid her, seeing as Arthur only carried a bag of gold coins with him, which, for some reason, weren't acceptable currency in this establishment in the future. It's legal tender, Arthur tried to explain to the girl. You cannot buy a beer here with it, she said in her velvety voice. Maybe she's a vampire, Alice thought. Alice was aghast at Arthur, but the girl didn't change her facial expression at his insults. Alice realised later that perhaps she didn't understand the insults as she was from Romania and it was lost in translation. Thankfully, Arthur was sent outside for a cigarette by Alice. And to further vex the bar girl's frustrations with him, there was a law in this time period which meant he wasn't allowed to smoke inside the pub. Alice seized the opportunity to talk to the girl behind the bar, trying to smooth over the creased frown on her face from the ream of Arthur insults. She discovered the girl was a retired trapeze artist from the circus who had decided to move into a Scottish croft and live off the land. Suddenly, Arthur came back in with a man on his arm, grinning from ear to ear. I have found him, Arthur announced to Alice and Eric. Thank you.